Safei Hamid, who's president at the Center for Egyptian-American Relations. Safei, thank you so much for your time. What are your personal recollections, your personal strongest memories of Hosni Mubarak?
As your report said, of course, he was an authoritarian, a military man, was not really qualified to be leading Egypt because he was no leader. He is a sort of like a person who used to follow orders and very disciplined, based, of course, on the military background he had. But he didn't have any vision. While he was very lucky, he inherited Egypt at one point where the economy of Egypt could have been in a good time to take off. He inherited from Egypt an agreement with the United States and Israel that there will be no wars anymore, and that America will put Egypt as a second country to receive financial aid from the United States. So there was a lot of financial resources. At the same time, the Arab oils were in its prime at that time. So many Egyptians were traveling to live in the Arab world and send back a huge amount of money. All of these resources, if it was well managed, it was not, of course, could have turned Egypt into a completely different place, because he lacked vision, number one. He lacked vision, and he was a very selfish person. He cared only about his family, his people, and start to build the empire. And continued to take care of himself and the army, the police. All of those people were beneficiaries of the time. He really didn't have any much care for the people. He never, since his childhood, he was not close to the masses. He was an elite military man, and he stayed like that.
Safei, Egypt's history is very particular. It's incredible to think that Hosni Mubarak was only the fourth president that Egypt has ever had. And in fact, people used to call him a pharaoh, of course. But from what you're saying, reading between the lines, how much is the West to blame? You're talking about American policy and American money towards Egypt. How much is the West to blame for him being allowed to carry out 30 years of oppression and basically lead a police state, as you call it?
There is no doubt that the West have given a blind eye, all the European countries and the United States, as long as he kept Egypt stable and kept his promise not to bother his neighbors, especially Israel. So he made an alliance with reactionary regimes like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates and all of those, and he was in a cold peace with Israel. I mean, everything was fine. He accepted that there is relations. He actually encouraged, for instance, the agricultural sector to be very close to the Israeli. Some of these, I believe, was adventures which were negative on the Egyptian agriculture, and many other things like that. He was compromising principles. He did not really have principles. He was a survivor. He tried to always keep moving in a way that to defend his chair or his throne. And also what angered most of the Egyptians at the end was that he wanted to hand that throne to his son, Jamal.
Safei,
that really angered both the army and the people.
Yes, and eventually the army ensured his removal after that Arab Spring and all those scenes that we saw in Tahrir Square in Cairo. Safei Hamid, really thank you so much indeed for joining us on the News Hour. Appreciate it.